pick. And if we can specifically get to the pick, we're going to try to figure out exactly what's going to happen going forward with that. Look, whoever gets picked is going to be a great player for the Raiders. We know that. Whoever gets selected overall is going to be an unbelievable player for the Raiders because that player's got to come in and play. Those players have got to come in and have an impact. And it's been very, very, very frustrating for me to see really good people, general managers who get paid a lot more to do their job than I do, to come in here and make bad picks in the first round over the years. And when Mark sees this and the draft isn't going right, he blows them out and brings new guys in. That's kind of what's been going on around here. I mean, let's get to the point on this. What everybody's been trying to do lately, and we're up on YouTube now. It looks like we're good to go. YouTube Live, JT the Brick YT, if you want to get in there. So the guys who have made these draft picks in the first round, do you know how many millions of dollars went into the salaries of the scouts, the regional scouts, the national scouts, everybody to come in and go make a decision and try to get the right guy. And that's okay. Sometimes it's not going to work, but now it's got to work. We got Kansas City in our division with going for a three-peat. We got people today. I heard it again today. The Chargers. Oh, the Chargers could be great. Not good, great. I heard this. Chargers could be great if they have a good draft. How many years ago have I heard that? Denver has been train wrecked as of late. Denver, Sean Payton has come in because he's the de facto leader of that team. He has ruined that franchise in a year. He has absolutely destroyed that franchise in 1 year. I'm not saying he can't turn it around. He's Sean Payton. But look at the quarterbacks that he had, Drew Brees. And Drew Brees threw for over 70,000 yards. He doesn't have that guy in the building now. They ran Russell Wilson out. And they gave up a lot of draft equity to get rid of Russell Wilson. To go get him, let alone get rid of him. It is a mess of what's going on now. Mess of what's going on in Denver. That's an advantage to us. We played Denver twice. If we play Denver twice, we should beat them twice. And we have to beat them twice. They're basically laying down, but they're going to get better in the draft. They're going to get a couple of players in the draft. And what would happen if Denver jumped ahead of us because they have one pick ahead of us? Well, what would happen if Denver had the balls? Because I'm hearing a little bit of this. And I'm going to get Benjamin Albright on from Denver to give me his opinion on this. What about if Denver goes up and says, we're not going to wait at number 12 to take Michael Penix. We're going to go up. We're going to go up to number 6 and get J.J. McCarthy. And then I'd sit there and I'd scratch my head. I'd say, what the hell is Denver doing trading up when they already lost like half their franchise, screwing up Russell Wilson, and now they want to blow up the next draft or 2 years draft to do this? Hey, crazy things happen. If Sean Payton goes to that Walmart money, the richest owners in sports, and says, hey, man, I got an idea how we can fix this thing quickly. Let me trade up in the draft and fix this overnight. And then they're going to get J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix Jr. Now, they're a mess, and I think Denver is ideal to trade back because they need to get 2 first-round picks. If they can trade back and find a way to add a little bit more draft equity, that's what he needs. And for the Raiders, look, there's a couple of people. I put out a poll question, which I normally don't do, last week about what should the Raiders do with their picks, and a couple of people said trade back. A couple of people have said traded back if they didn't like Penix as the 5th best quarterback. This is like Christmas Day, and there's 5 presents under the tree. Okay, Christmas Day, there's 5 presents under the tree, and you know before the 5 kids come down the stairs, all the presents are quarterbacks. The last person to get down the stairs is getting the 5th present, which will be the 5th quarterback. Do the Raiders want to have the 5th best quarterback? Or do they want the best one next year? Or do they want to develop Aiden O'Connell and Minshew to see if one of them are really good? Really good. Like there's a chance. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. But if you look back at the history of the quarterback position and the age of these guys, there's a chance that Gardner Minshew, I gave you the Gannon comp. The Gannon comp is the perfect comp. Same guy, same age. Gannon turned on to be great. Elite. He was elite for a couple of years. Gardner Minshew could be, I'm not going to say elite. He could be a very, very good quarterback in 2 to 3 years. He'll have all those years of playing, couple of years of starting, And if he gets a starting job here and he wins it and he plays well, he could be your quarterback for 3 or 4 years. The age is not an issue with him. And then Aiden O'Connell, who spoke today, Aiden O'Connell could be perfect for the Raiders. 4th-round pick, played a lot his rookie year, won a lot of big games, and seems to be in the driver's seat to be the starter this year. And he can come in there and do a lot. So with all this happening here, it's very intriguing. Very intriguing. But as I told my wife as we were flying home last night, Monday I do my double dip, this show and then my 3 hours after this. What are you going to talk about? I'm talking about the NFL draft because we're based in Vegas and it's a big pick. But everybody knows the NFL draft is monstrous. This week's going to be about the NBA. 2 big storylines this week. Caitlin Clark going number 1 WNBA draft. Big. She delivers a rating. She delivers massive ratings. It's like Lady Gaga playing with Beyonce. One opens for the other every night, or Taylor Swift. She's a queen. She's a monster with this. And then the NBA playoffs, as you're supposed to be gravitated with these elimination games. And if you look at these elimination games, you should look at it and say, wow, these are elimination games. Maybe I'll watch one. I'm a Knicks fan. Knicks are the 2 seed. I'm thrilled, right? I'm not a 9 or 10 seed this year around, so I'm more intrigued about that. And then the last thing that I wanted to get to was UFC 300. I'm not a big UFC guy. I'm a big boxing guy. I respect UFC and Dana. Dana's been great all around town. Dana's great. He's fantastic. But what happened with that Holloway KO, Bobby, if we can play this, the end of UFC 300, again, I was in San Diego. One of my buddies was watching it on a cell phone. I wasn't paying that much attention. But when this knockout went down in under 10 seconds with the second to go, it was a highlight in the history of that sport. Yep, that was it. All right. So let's come back to me, please, on that. That was that is UFC pay-per-view on the air. So that was incredible. If you ever watched that and your opinion on that was absolutely insane. I've been at Conor McGregor fights. I've seen Ronda Rousey fight. There's been a history of UFC to UFC 300 now. To have that moment was incredible. That was incredible. Max was there. There were a bunch of Raiders, I guess, who were there. So we'll get into that. Also, Devontae spoke at an appearance. We'll play a little bit of that sound as he kind of quieted everybody who thinks he's out of it and might want to go somewhere else. Enough of that ridiculous topic of Devontae leaving. We have sound of that coming up from Vegas Nation. Dick Fain will join us next hour. Dick works for KJR in Seattle. He is an expert on Michael Penix Jr. Not many people know as much as him. He and his partner, Softy Maller, own that topic overall, and he could end up being the Raiders quarterback there. And then Dave Gocher at the top of the hour on the Vegas Golden Knights and what this is going to mean. Look, I'm all in on the Vegas Golden Knights every year. It's a lot of content for me this time of year, man. I got to get my ass through April, May, June, July before Raiders get going. And I need sports in my life, not for this radio show. I need it for me. And we got to get into that because Vegas could be one and done in the playoffs because they're going on a very difficult road. But for those who are out there, jump in our YouTube page here. We're going to go over a number today. I'm going to give out a signed copy of my book, The Handoff, which is starting to pick up even some more steam. Some meetings coming up on the book. And what we're doing to follow up with that, JT the Brick YT on YouTube. So we got a prize to give away today as we're looking for a specific subscriber. Subscribe and share for a signed copy of my book, The Handoff, and that is coming up here in a little bit. Again, back from San Diego. Man, I miss Vegas. Came home today. The weather's great. Had a good time at Billy Joel and Sting. They announced the Allegiant set that's coming here in November, which will be interesting. But coming up for me next is the Rolling Stones. 2 shows, May 11th in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, and then July 5th in Vancouver. Heading up to Vancouver to see the Stones. Big show the rest of the way. 702-365-9200. The Raiders soon to be on the clock in the NFL draft. Did you catch that dial tone? Hey. Was that over the air? Okay. Yep. I'm going to get on the chat. All right, chat friends. Sorry about this. Again, it's a pain in the ass. I'm at home today, and then because I had some press conferences, got this thing up and running. It took me a couple of times to do it. Microphone was a little bit etchy, but we're good. How's everyone's weekend? What everybody do over the weekend? Anything cool? Ooh, I got a coffee ready right here. 1 second. All right, we're back. All right. Yeah, the book is up. You can get the book at you can go to Amazon.com. Just put in the handoff. All right. Yeah, Raider Nation 87, UFC was incredible this weekend. Why was it incredible? How many good fights were there? I know the one big one with the knockout. How many else were there? Sound is perfect now from Jen Slinger. Thank you. Pro Football Focus came out with their latest pick for the Raiders. Let me get to that. Terrion Arnold, cornerback. I am giving one away, Kylie. I'm giving it away for the 3,000 subscriber. That's what I'm giving it away for. Gotta be the 3,000. My son is looking at the numbers. We should get to that pretty soon. Maybe you will be the one. You said this was Spillane, correct? Okay. Yep. Yes. That's Aiden O'Connell. He spoke. We're going to play Max Crosby later on the show. If you didn't get a chance to hear that on the radio flagship, if you're on YouTube and you watched it, I watched it. But when Max came on as soon as we started the show, whenever we have Max or the coach or someone talking, we try to play it here on the flagship of the Raiders. Welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well. We are brought to you by the Black Hole. They got a lot going on. I just met with Mark Jones, Cisco. They're our proud partner. They're partners with us on the radio. What does that mean? I'm in the Black Hole. First ever member of their Hall of Fame. I'm invested in the Black Hole in more ways than one. We wanted to work out, and I think membership is the key. Become a member of the Black Hole by going to theblackhole.com, click on membership, and you're done. Just follow the link, and you can tell all your buddies you're a member of the Black Hole. So Aiden O'Connell is interesting to me because since he's been drafted and who he's been next to, Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh McDaniels, they're both gone. Jimmy Garoppolo won 4 playoff games. Josh McDaniels won 6 Super Bowls. They did a good job getting him ready to play. Other than that, there weren't a lot of other good jobs since the offense was really weak. That's why the head coach got fired. Antonio Pierce took over as interim. That's what happened. The offense had no creativity, was never on the attack, was always fighting from behind. The offense last year was one of the biggest disappointments I've seen. And I didn't think it would be the case because I thought the basic strategic package of that offense, it would have been a top 10 offense. It should have been. They had the play caller. They had a quarterback. Once Jimmy G went down, it was Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell. Aiden was a brand new rookie. Brian Hoyer shouldn't have been here the entire time. Again, nice guy, good guy, should not have been paid that much money, nowhere near that much money for what he didn't accomplish. And Aiden came in and started winning games down the stretch. They put him out there at the podium today, almost first. Why do you think? He just won the first day of practice. You get him in there, he is most likely today, which isn't next week, not the draft. Right now, Aiden O'Connell deserves to be the starter on this team until he gets beat out, if he does, by Gardner Minshew in the preseason. And that's I'm not a big believer of the practice squad. I'm not a big believer of who's going to win this. I'm not a believer. Just give me the starting lineup on opening day and let's run with it. But this year, I'm really intrigued in what that could look like with the quarterback battle because these guys better be playing. Yeah, they better be playing because they're going to have to play in games. And the games don't mean as much as they did 10, 20 years ago in the preseason. But we got to see Minshew and Aiden O'Connell a bunch in the preseason to see who's going to win that job. Pro Football Focus came out with their latest mock draft this morning. At number 13 from Alabama to the Raiders, Terrion Arnold. At some point, the value of top defenders on the board is too good to turn down. And that's the case for the Raiders at number 13. They select the top cornerback in the draft in Alabama's Terrion Arnold, a player whose slick man coverage skills. Arnold allowed just a 50.7 passer rating when targeted last season. Okay, so Terrion Arnold looks to be the best cornerback available. But you got to remember one thing. He played for Alabama. Alabama had an elite pass rush, elite edge rushers, elite everything. So when you get interceptions or they don't throw at you or your coverage is good enough because the other quarterback in the SEC doesn't have enough time because he's going up against freaking Alabama. Same thing with Ohio State. You play Ohio State and you draft a corner or you draft someone on their defense. Remember, their whole defense is elite. So everybody's playing faster, stronger, and better. So the stats look pretty good. But Arnold's the type of player who can come in and be a day one starter. Or don't take him. Don't take him at all. Because I thought last year, the Raiders, until they got Jack Jones, at the second half of the year, the safeties were playing well. Corner, we needed Jack Jones to come in here for some energy and wake this up. We needed him to go. So another starting cornerback opposite Jack Jones could be really important going forward. 702-365-9200 as we continue on opening up the show. We had a dial tone call in the first segment. Now we're ready to hear from you before we get to 2 guests in the second hour of the show. Also, the Max Crosby sound, everybody on the chat said it was amazing. And you know Max wanted to talk about UFC. What an impact UFC and Dana White has had on his career. I had the pleasure recently of emceeing Max Crosby's first ever foundation event, and Dana White pretty much bought everything in the room, bought everything for the silent auction, and the auction put so much money threw so much money into that Max Crosby Foundation. I was like, man, I'm impressed. I know Dana's been very impressive, but the impact that UFC, Max wore a Kobe Bryant shirt today. He's got the tattoo of Ali, Kobe. The impact that UFC has had on Max Crosby, and UFC fights predominantly all their big fights here in Vegas. Really nice fit overall. Really nice fit overall for Max to have a great time there. Really happy that Max doesn't have to get on a private jet and can go with Dana White and go see the insanity of UFC right here in Vegas. Conor McGregor was announced in UFC 303. And that's a big deal because Dana broke that news at Max Crosby's foundation as they were trying to raise money for a live auction there. So that was pretty cool because Max and Dana have a really good relationship going forward. So good time this weekend. I think Raider fans, I just got my Our Lads draft guide, and the Raiders today were kind enough to give us the Athletics draft guide, which I'm going to pound through that in a PDF here. And I usually read, it takes me 2 or 3 days to go there with my notebook and go through everybody else that I'm trying to, not so much scout, but what I like to do heading into the draft, which I'll be anchoring for the Raiders on radio, is to really focus on that first round pick, get about 10 names in front of me and memorize it. Who are those 10 players? What do they do? What were their stats? What's their size? What they do in college? How great were they? And then I have another list, and that goes under needs. So if the Raiders, their need in the first round could be quarterback, but if they don't get one, in the second, third round, I start to lean on the best available players in the need category, which is going to be really important going forward here. Really important going forward because I'll tell you this much, a need is not as big of a problem as it's been around here for quite some time. I don't feel the need to talk about needs and go down to 6 levels of needs. Need is quarterback. If we don't get one, we, the season ticket holders, very important point. If we don't get a quarterback at 13 or trade up to get him, I don't want to hear about your quarterback in the first round. I don't want to hear about your Spencer Rattlers and all that. Don't want to hear. Not on this show. I don't want to hear about a 4th round pick. We got one. We got one in Aiden O'Connell. We got a 4th round quarterback. Don't want to hear about a late round quarterback. Stop. We don't get quarterback by trading up or waiting at number 13. I do not want to hear about quarterback. I want to talk about the next available. And then if we end up getting a corner in the first pick like Tyrion Arnold, or we get an offensive lineman like Fuaga early on, then I don't have to worry about that position until the 4th, 5th, 6th round. VGK, I want to get to the game-winning goal, Bobby, against Colorado. This was huge in a game that they trailed 3-0 to come all the way back and then have an opportunity to win it and get 2 points. It was getting real dicey around here. This felt good, like a weight off their shoulders. Dan Duva on the call, VGK Radio. Not the biggest win of the year, but one of the most important wins of the year down the stretch as the season is wrapping up this week. Hopefully I'm going to go to the game on Thursday night to wrap up the regular season. Hopefully it won't mean anything. Maybe it will in the playoff rankings overall. Dave Gosher from the broadcast team will join us here in a little bit, by about 10 minutes coming up. And Caitlin Clark, I know there are WNBA fans in town. Last I looked, not a lot of other shows on the radio at this time. Caitlin Clark tonight. People are wondering what the ratings are going to be like in the WNBA draft. Have we come to the point now where the WNBA draft, not a game, the draft is going to get higher ratings than baseball and hockey games? Really? The draft of the WNBA is going to get higher ratings than an NBA playoff game or a baseball game, obvious. That's what this young woman, Caitlin Clark, has done for sports. It truly is fascinating to see what she's done. Am I going to watch? I don't know if I'm going to watch it live. I think I will. I'll be on the air tonight, but I want to see what that rating does the next day. Also, a lot of people jumping in. Raider Nation 97 in the chat said loads of knockouts and finishes on UFC 300. Everyone was aiming for the $300,000 bonus. Yeah, a lot of people loved it. Also, Tony said Max Crosby's comments were inspiring. We're going to hear that. I wasn't able to hear it. It started off the show. We're going to play that for you coming up. And Mile High Raider says, salute nation. I'm feeling really good about the upcoming season, regardless of who the quarterback is. We will see competition, but our defense will be the strength. The defense of the Raiders is the absolute strength of the team. I think anything that they can get in the draft via, depth, a defense will be great because guys get hurt. Guys get hurt all the time when it comes to playing football, but I think the offense needs at least 2 more offensive line starters. We found out today that the Raiders had signed Cody Whitehair, who comes in with 118 starts in his career. Experience, skill, he's strong, and he can help out a lot here. He's going to be a depth guy who has tremendous leadership. The trenches of the Raiders, you can tell, is a focus. I think it'll be a very important focus under our new GM. Under our new GM, Tom Telesco, who did a great job, good job, maybe B+, to getting the Chargers offensive line to be better with a couple of draft picks for the Chargers that turned out to be pretty good. It's nice when you have Justin Herbert. Then you can really focus on the offensive line. The Raiders seem to want to dip their toe in the water and get a quarterback high, and they got to help out with the offensive line. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of goals that you got to get to here as we get rolling. Good to be back as we get rolling here on a Monday. I want to thank Harry Ruiz, the Latino voice of the Silver and Black, for filling in for me on Friday. Always appreciate Harry. Great content, great show, as I was able to listen to it online with my ear pods in as I was waiting for my gate at the airport here. Man, a lot of people at the airport leaving that Google press conference when I was flying out, then coming home last night. Got in last night reasonably late from San Diego, and the airport was packed. Do a lot of business in Vegas, man. A lot of people come and go to Las Vegas, the sports and entertainment capital of the world. Dave Gocher from the Knights broadcast team will join us next, and Dick Fain from Seattle Sports Talk on Penix. All right, my friends, I got a hockey interview in here, so I'm going to bail in a minute, but I appreciate you coming in here. Let me figure this out. Hope you hit subscribe. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe and like. I'd appreciate that. David said, need to finally address linebacker in this draft as well. Well, Robert Spillane, Divine Diablo, Masterson. I mean, what do you want to do? Where do you want to get a linebacker? What position is it going to play? If you say outside linebacker, I would agree with that. Man, I wish Kuntz was an outside linebacker. I know he's a defensive end, but Kuntz has got some big outside linebacker size to him, but he's more of a defensive edge rusher there. How cool would it be to line up Tyree Wilson at linebacker? Seriously. Not have him hesitate off the line, put his hands up, and come off the edge and rush the passer? That won't happen, but, man, he's got to have a big year. Tony says, JT, who has bigger upside, Brown or our number 3 or Jay Travis? I don't really understand that. I don't know if that's a typo. Who has bigger upside, Brown, our number 3 quarterback, or Jay Travis? I don't know who our number 3 quarterback is really here. That's irrelevant to me. I'm only looking at 2. I know how the depth chart is here. We got to add another quarterback, in my opinion. Kyle says, I hope we trade up and get Jaden. If not, yeah, I hope we trade up and get him too, but we're going to have to trade up to number 2. Imagine if the Raiders traded up to number 3 and there was no Jaden Daniels. All right. Harry does a great job. I appreciate Harry. So, got big shows coming up, man. So I think we're going to be doing some pretty big radio coming up here in a couple, heading up to the draft. I'll be anchoring the draft from the Raider facility, the first round. So I'll be right outside the war room, which has been my spot for pretty much 25 years. Very fortunate for that. Then I'll get over to the Raiders draft party at Omnia. Get there a little bit late for a couple of cervezas, a couple of Modelos. And then what? Friday, we do round 2 of the Raiders draft. So there's a lot going on. Modelo time. Yep. So I'm going to start off and do about a 5-minute monologue and then bail everybody. So I appreciate you being there. Thanks for coming on today. We're also going to play a little bit of Max Crosby. If you didn't catch that, listen on our Raiders mobile app. Did you guys get a chance to see Aiden talk today? What do you think of Aiden O'Connell at the presser? All right. Hey, Bobby. Give me a few minutes before your call goes. Yeah. All good. JT back from a weekend in San Diego. A little wet, but nice weekend in San Diego. You appreciate Vegas when you get rained on in the 8th row of a Billy Joel concert and it's pouring sideways. Well, I love San Diego. Great to be back. Thanks to Harry for sitting in for me on Friday. Full shows all week long. Insiders galore. Bucky Brooks coming up on Thursday. We'll have a draft insider on every day. Also, I have Dick Fane coming up. I consider him one of those. He's going to concentrate on Michael Penix Jr. He'll join us at 1:40 Pacific time. We'll get into it with him. For the four amigos, the three amigos who spoke today. It's Aiden O'Connell, Andre James, Robert Spillane, and Max Crosby. We'll play a portion of Max coming up here in a little bit. So we got a busy show. Also, the Golden Knights playoff bound. And what's at stake with the playoffs right around the corner here is this is the last week of the regular season. So we're keeping an eye on everything. You got Caitlin Clark tonight, the WNBA draft, and the NBA play-in game. The NBA play-in game, as I went off on that in the first hour of the show, I'm not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of it because I think it softens us. But we're going to get the Lakers and Pelicans and the Warriors and Kings. Warriors-Kings is an elimination game. And there's a lot at stake for TNT and the broadcast partners of ESPN and ABC. They want the Warriors. They want Steph Curry in the playoffs. Everybody understand that? The NBA is more addicted to stars than any other sport, even more than baseball that's got Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, all the other sports out there. The NBA will get you to watch in the playoffs if LeBron James is playing on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. If Steph's playing on a weeknight, you're going to watch that more than you'd watch a Pelicans-Kings game. So lots at stake here. Hopefully if the Lakers and the Warriors are able to play him through this tournament and get them to the playoffs, that's important. If you believe in conspiracy theories, I don't in life, but I do in sports. This is a big conspiracy with the refs and the television networks. What do you think the TV networks, the commissioner, and everybody wants in the playoffs? The Lakers and Warriors or the Pelicans and Kings? And even though the Pelicans got Zion, he's not LeBron and Anthony Davis. Even though the Kings got Sabonis, it is not Steph Curry. And that's all at stake as we get going on here. A lot of Sacramento fans listen to the show. Got a lot of fans in LA. We can see the numbers who stream us there. Greatly appreciate that as we get going. And, you know, on baseball, I watched a little bit of baseball over the weekend. The Dodgers and Padres got something to say about that. coming up here in a little bit. So if you want to get in, last hour of the show, 702-365-9200 is the best way to get in. And tonight you'll catch me on Sirius XM Mad Dog. Starting next week, I do those shows live at Wynn Resort and Casino from the beautiful new Sirius XM studios. So I'll be doing my weeknight shows from there, and maybe when I fill in for Doug or some of the other hosts there, you'll be able to catch me live there. Beautiful setup. So I'm excited about that with some of the things we have going on with social media, as I thank everybody on our live stream who watched the